As world leaders pit their wits against one another at the United Nations General Assembly in New York, the African Housing and Infrastructure Fund is seeking for solutions to housing challenges across the continent. Its CEO, Rali Mampeule, is in New York and joins me now live to expand on this. Rali, appreciate your time. Would you elaborate on the role of AHIF in fostering innovation, entrepreneurship and empowerment for African progress, and how does it align with the broader goals of the UN General Assembly?
Yes, good evening to yourself and the viewers. We're quite excited to be here as the African Housing and Infrastructure Fund, and our mere aim is to accelerate delivery of affordable housing in the continent and also make sure that while we're doing that, we can be able to bring internet connectivity to the continent and really address the issue of lack of connectivity in the continent. So we're quite here today because we are an impact investment fund that is able to tick certain boxes that has to do with the SDG, and we're quite excited to be here and representing some of the companies that we are running in the continent.
Could you provide more detail on how HAP, or the Housing Access Program, will work?
HAP is such an exciting program that we are launching now that is called the Housing Access Program. And essentially, we've realized that a lot of workers in the continent have got means of monies that they've saved from working for different governments around the continent. But what they are battling is that you find that some of the people are blacklisted, but they have some savings that they've saved over the years. So we're trying to come up with ideas of saying, how do we meet those type of workers halfway and make sure that we can be able to give each and every workforce member in the continent an opportunity for funding, even though they do for sometimes find that they are blacklisted. There are ways and sections that we can be able to look at to make sure that we can help them, assist them. This could also include programs like rent to buy, taking them into cleaning their credit and making sure that over a period of time they're able to have access to buying homes. So we're quite excited about that launch, and we'll definitely be starting in South Africa to make sure that we can help the workforce to be able to get housing, and we believe that housing must really be for all.
Well, housing is a huge problem in South Africa, and I suppose elsewhere across the African continent. When you talk about the initiative that you'd like to carry out in South Africa, just how much impact do you expect to make? And I suppose this question speaks to the size of the projects that you speak of.
Yes, fortunately, we had an opportunity where we ran a fund that we're busy wrapping up called the AHIF, the South African Housing and Infrastructure Fund. It was a success. We had managed in the past 4 years, have managed to just get under 80,000 land opportunities to South Africans, which, if you look at that, has created a lot of opportunities for housing. I mean, if you look at that and you times that by 4, because one house can actually house just in general about 4 people, and then you can imagine if you take 80 times 4, that is a huge impact that we've done. So we believe that we can help South African in that manner. I mean, there's close to 200 employees in the country where these people are still looking for housing and actually find that they are earning a salary. And there's a lot of programs within the public sector as well where we can match and make sure that we can connect the dots with private sector initiatives and the public sector initiative in making sure that we can put give a roof over our head for the working force of the continent.
So let's talk about your presence at the United Nations General Assembly. What is it that you are trying to achieve?
So you can imagine, I mean, all the heads of states and captain of industries are all here as we speak now. We are at the Global Africa Summit, which is a sideline event within the United Nations General Assembly. So we are talking about the solutions and opportunities that may be available for the country, for the continent, and we're sharing ideas. We are sitting with funders who are looking at impact investment funds like ourselves, which is the AHIF, and we are saying, well, let's look at if we can be able to raise money from institutions in making sure that we can accelerate delivery of affordable housing in the continent, making sure that we address the issue of the digital divide. We need to make sure that our people are connected and they have an opportunity. I mean, if you look at people around the world, you find that in the global south, a lot of young people have got access to internet and Wi-Fi, and they have access to opportunities and information. And you find that somebody somewhere in Mujaji doesn't have that. So you can imagine how we're going to compete with the rest of the world. So most of the leaders that are here, business people, captain of industries, the call of internet connectivity and really taking down the gap of the internet divide is one of the biggest themes that we are discussing here, to say how do we make internet to be affordable for South Africans and the people in the continent.
So Rali, let's talk about response and the sort of reaction that you've gotten from some of the delegates and many others, organizations and agencies that are present in New York at the moment. Has it been positive?
Yeah, we've had a very positive really response, and we have a lot of meetings that are lined up. A lot of people want to visit the continent just to see more projects that are happening. I mean, you can imagine, as AHIF and SAHIF, we've invested in companies like Metro Fiber, which is the third largest fiber business in the country. We have a bit of a track record, and guys are saying, well, let's come in and have a look and see how we can add value in making sure, because the solution of internet connectivity is huge. You need to deploy a lot of capital, and not one entity can be able to do that. So we've invited a lot of people from around the world to come and see the work that we've done in connecting people with the internet. We have access to land, but we need to build new cities as the continent. And that creates a lot of opportunities for investors, stakeholders, and other people that want to learn from some of the work that we've done as AHIF and also as the continent. So we're quite excited to showcase the new cities that we need to build in the continent, because that creates a lot of opportunities for the continent to grow and create jobs and opportunities for infrastructure upgrades and the likes.
Rali Mampeule, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for speaking to us.